Reading The Gun Rights War by Neal Knox. This is section 3, page 153, titled Jackbooted NRA Bashing, dated April 28, 1995. The carefully orchestrated thrashing of NRA reached a new low last night. Chris Wallace blasted Executive Vice President Wayne LaPierre on ABC Nightline for signing a fundraising letter that said some federal agents were acting like jackbooted fascists. And he breathlessly accused ILA Executive Director Tanya Makicha of having a secret meeting with members of the Michigan militia and tarred the NRA's second Vice President Neal Knox for telling the Washington Post, "Unless militia groups have committed a violation of the law, I'm not going to say we can't have anything to do with those people." As Wayne said, fundraising letters, no matter who sends them, tend to use hot rhetoric. That's why Handgun Control, Inc. has for years put "Tell the NRA to go to hell" on envelopes of fundraising letters, blaming the NRA for the deaths of innocents. But Wayne, who pointed out that the NRA's overblown rhetoric is mild compared to the words used by victims of federal law enforcement's outrages in a string of cases that stretched from Kenyon Balo to Waco to Ruby Ridge. My stemmed up daughter Sean called up after Nightline to declare, "If the jackboots fit, then march them into court. BATF and FBI have to take responsibility." That was the point that Wayne was trying to make over the objections of the interruptions of Chris Wallace, that in January 1994, an unusual alliance of NRA, American Civil Liberties Union, and half a dozen other groups of varied political hues had called for an investigation into 25 specific abuses by federal law enforcement, including Waco and Ruby Ridge. In January 1995, a delegation from that unusual coalition met with the number 3 man in the Justice Department. The administration has turned a deaf ear since that meeting. As Wayne stated, Tanya's secret meeting with the Michigan militia amounted to perhaps a half an hour at a hotel lobby and lounge. Hardly the place for a clandestine rendezvous. They asked for NRA support for their movement, and she declined. An ILA staffer at the meeting told me they 3 times stated how disappointed they were. As for my quote in the Post, which they flashed on the screen with my picture, I stand by it. We have a First Amendment right to assemble or not assemble with whomever we wish, and unless the militia groups are criminals, and I've yet to see any evidence that they are, I'll not tolerate the Washington Post or ABC trying to tar me for guilt by association. That's not that it's anyone's business. I've never attended a militia meeting and only know one guy who has, and only because he told me so. In this determined effort by the press and politicians to tie NRA and gun owners to the bombing in Oklahoma City, it might be useful to consider the words of President Bill Clinton. He said on 60 Minutes, during an interview in which he grossly misstated the facts about Waco, that militia members have a right to believe whatever they want. They have a right to say whatever they want. They have a right to keep and bear arms. They have a right to put on uniforms and go out on the weekends. They do not have a right to kill innocent Americans. They do not have a right to violate the law, and they do not have the right to take the position that if somebody comes to arrest them for violating the law, they're perfectly justified in killing them. That time, Mr. Clinton was exactly right, providing the arresting agents don't come in shooting. But Mr. Clinton obviously doesn't believe his words, or he wouldn't be so eager to condemn his political enemies for exercising the rights he piously proclaims. NRA and NRA members are his enemies, he told the Cleveland Plain Dealer in January when he credited the NRA giving the nation a Republican Congress. Or he blamed the NRA for giving the nation a Republican Congress. What he and his colleagues in the press are doing is following the politics of newspaper powerhouse William Randolph Hearst, who told his reporters to blame every tragedy on his political enemies. The disciples of William Randolph Hearst are alive and well and living in the National Press Club and the White House.
Thank you for supporting our projects. If you'd like to buy us a cup of coffee, check out our Patreon channel.
The guys and gals at gunwebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thank you for watching gunwebsites.com.